one day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Never be cruel, never be cowardly. Hate is always foolish, and love is always wise. Always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. Laugh hard. Run fast. Be kind. Doctor, I let you go.
My friends, out of all of our beloved stories that we have made so popular, they have become franchises that have been utterly destroyed through greed, hubris, ego, and a slavish adherence to the message, including but not limited to Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, Marvel, Willow, Wheel of Time, The Witcher, The Terminator, Scooby-Doo, and the next one on the list, Harry Potter. There remains one that is on top of the burning heap, the longest-running science fiction show in history and once considered a British institution, reduced to the most vandalized, subverted, and perverted of them all, Doctor Who. And what puts Doctor Who below the rest? Well, unlike the others, the brain trust at the BBC decided to retcon the entire history of the show, replacing the first Doctor, played by the legendary William Hartnell, with a little black girl. After almost being canceled after the run of the first female Doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, the show was saved and Russell T Davies and David Tennant returned to commit career suicide. And to guarantee that everything that could go wrong would, they partnered with Disney.
One of the few places in Britain to have studios, a company with studios.
I know.
This is Hollywood, look at it.
Did you ever imagine that could be taking ownership of
No,
this market?
absolutely never. And yet at the same time, I think it's my divine right.
I have a bad feeling about this.
They brought back fan favorite Donna Noble, who now has a daughter named Rose.
You're assuming he as a pronoun.
True. Yes, sorry, good point.
And this genius plan was to all hook everybody into the Ncuti Gatwa era, and it was all downhill from there. Despite being almost a decade since it was good, this zombie franchise lumbers on to eat the brains of the remaining viewers. Unfortunately, it's starving. That's why it's no surprise the rumors have been swirling. Not long after his first season, there were rumors that the first black gay doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa was leaving, and they had shot his regeneration scene. That was followed by the rumor that the show was going to be canceled, and what seems to have substantiated that rumor was Russell T Davies moving to another show on another network. Then there were the promotional clips of the actors unsure of the show's future.
I'll be around for a while. You're not getting rid of me yet.
And RTD being unsure of Doctor Who's future.
Literally nothing happening. No decision. We're ready. We're ready with different plans. Could go this way, could go that way, could do that. That's our job to be ready. We're ready anyway. But we'll find out. You're dying to find out. I hope he comes back.
And midway through this current season, the rumors flared up like an STD that the show was once again going to be canceled, only later to be denied, saying the show wasn't going to be canceled, it was going to be paused, which was followed by the rumor of Ncuti Gatwa being fired from Doctor Who after backing out of Eurovision in protest over the inclusion of a certain Middle Eastern country. Add to that some of the actors' attitude towards fan criticism. Actor Jinx Monsoon from season 14 said, "Who gives a f what bigots think? For every transphobic, racist, bigoted Doctor Who fan that we lose this season, there are going to be 3 to 5 new fans who are coming in for the representation."
You know, you're a classic example of the inverse ratio between the size of the mouth and the size of the brain.
Which admittedly is better than what the show's star said Ncuti Gatwa. Don't watch, turn off the TV, go out, touch grass. This brings us to those pesky little ratings. You know, the one metric that shows the success or failure of a television show. And if you're keeping score at home, it turns out Jinx Monsoon was wrong. Instead of gaining 3 to 5 viewers for every one they lost millions. And as far as Millie Gibson and Ncuti Gatwa's statements are concerned, it looks like the fans just got over it and touched grass. Because RTD and his comrades at the BBC and Disney decided to follow up a season with the worst ratings in the show's history with a season with the worst ratings in the show's history. Ta-da! So let's discuss what some may call Doctor Who Season 2. Others may consider it Doctor Who Season 15. Others might say it's Doctor Who Season 41, but what it really is Doctor Who's last season. A series that features bringing back classic characters to vandalize and crying cultural appropriation and crying queerness and crying racism and crying anti-capitalism and crying evil straight white men and crying state propaganda and crying and absolutely no masculinity anywhere to be found. And to save time, considering that there's no real plot to any episode because it just serves as a vehicle for the message, we'll just stick to the important stuff. In the first episode, we meet the new companion who looks like she's constantly smelling something bad, the lesbian from Andor, and her incel boyfriend who buys her a star. Somehow that certificate makes it to the actual star system, where the lesbian from Andor is made queen and forced into a marriage with an evil AI who has enslaved diverse people with robots. Later, we find out the evil AI is in actuality her ex-incel boyfriend. Oh, and we know he's an incel because she states it's
Planet of the Incels.
Who, through a series of events too ridiculous to recount, the evil incel AI ex-boyfriend is reduced to sperm. And even after showing that the ex-incel boyfriend might be innocent, a robot wipes up the sperm and the first black gay doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa celebrates.
Oh.
Goodbye, Alan.
This place is nuts.
Yes, Queen!
Oh, God.
Supposedly the same doctor that has given multiple villains second chances, forgiven the Master countless times, and refused to kill the Daleks when he had a chance because it would be genocide.
Do I have the right? Simply touch one wire against the other, and that's it. What if I kill, wipe out a whole intelligent life form? Then I become like them. I'd be no better than the Daleks.
So much for don't be cruel and cowardly. And yes, there was crying. Our next adventure was set up to have the diverse doctor and his diverse companion take on a new character, one of the pantheon of gods, Lux, the god of light. But in truth, it was just so they could go to 1950s Miami and talk about racism.
We got dressed up for no one to see. 1952, that might be wise.
The diner is segregated, no blacks, which includes you. We're breaking the law just by being in here.
You're inside a space reserved for white folk. I don't know how things are done in the Caribbean, but they're different here.
That's racist!
Oh, and that reminds me of the third episode of the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, where it was up to Dr. Karen to make sure that Rosa Parks got on the bus. But if I do say so myself, the most significant event in this episode was making hashtag RIP Doctor Who canon.
Hashtag RIP Doctor Who.
That's right, the hashtag we all got trending after the Timeless Children is actually in the show. So at this point, if you don't think that the fan criticism is taking up all the spacious real estate in Russell T Davies' giant head, well, I have to warn you, we're just getting started. Oh, and just in case you forget that this show is queer-coded in the 5 seconds they're not telling you all the time, there's this in successive episodes.
This is the fun bit, honey. The clothes.
Do we exchange our clothes?
Girl, you are beginning to enjoy this.
Thankfully, in episode 3, they decided to pump the brakes on the agenda and try to make the most least offensive episode, but it still ended up pissing off Doctor Who fans because it was an unnecessary sequel to the classic Midnight. And the only thing it accomplished is showing you how far Russell T Davies has fallen.
Flashback.
Eyes wild and glittering, but clever. No special makeup, no effects, just the stare of something different. Sky. And then she's wondering and he says,
Sky.
End of flashback.
But I think it would be prudent to point out that by the end of the episode, no men survived. What about the doctor, you ask? Like I said, no men survived. But episode 4, Lucky Day, certainly makes up for the lack of message in episode 3 by introducing us to the most evil, vile, unforgivable villain in the history of Doctor Who. Worse than Scaroth, the Silurians, Davros, the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Master, the Weeping Angels, the Vashta Narada, the Sontarans, the Autons, and this guy combined. The white straight male podcaster. An amalgamation of Joe Rogan, Tim Pool, and every other podcaster you can think of that plays out like a caricature of what an out-of-touch champagne socialist elitist gay man thinks of him. Lucky Day also features the not-so-triumphant return of Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday, who has 2 lesbian moms and a black grandma. And it's here I have to point out that in a show that started out with elderly British men hanging out with young girls in a blue police box traveling time and space fighting aliens made out of papier-mâché and tin foil, all which I have enjoyed through varying degrees by suspending my disbelief, but that has limits. Anyway, the evil white straight male podcaster catfishes Ruby Sunday also he can Project Veritas unit.
What is going on here? You cannot just record people like that.
Please unlock the door.
I have to point out that Unit is lacking in units these days. It turns out that the evil straight white male podcaster with tens of thousands of paid followers who spread misinformation believe that Unit only exists to spread fear. And they are stealing the British public's tax dollars for some other hidden agenda. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. Who would believe that?
They're watching Columbo.
If you don't have a TV license, it won't take us long to find you.
Earlier on in the episode, our evil white straight male podcaster was marked as prey by an alien. And when he was given the antidote, he refused to take it because he didn't believe the aliens were real. Curious, I wonder what they're trying to say here. It does remind me of something, but I can't quite put my hypodermic needle on it. And his worst crime of all?
And of course, he's a tax dodger.
I like him.
The best I can say about Lucky Day is it doesn't feature the first black gay doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa in it very much. He's in a bit for the beginning and the end, where again, supposedly the same doctor who offered to babysit the master after he chopped up humans into little murder drones and enslaved the human race returns to show absolutely no forgiveness to the most vile, evil Doctor Who villain of them all, the evil straight white male podcaster.
I'll tell you your future. You die in a prison cell.
And that is preceded by the single worst case in television history of a twat waffle showrunner projecting on a fan base.
And then along comes this noise. All day long, this relentless noise.
Somehow after that, things get worse. Our next entry is The Story and the Engine, written by Anua Ilams. A poet and obviously first-time TV writer because this thing was completely incomprehensible. This episode takes place in Ilam's home country of Nigeria, the same Nigeria he had to flee with his family when he was 8 years old following threats of violence towards Anua's father from religious fundamentalists. Anywho, the plot goes something like this. The first gay black doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa, a barber, and some clients are trapped by another barber in a barber shop so they can tell stories to power his giant mechanical spider to kill all the story gods, because it turns out he was all the story gods' ghostwriter and he didn't get any credit or residuals from his work. What the Oh, and the barber shop is attached to the giant mechanical spider. I know you're asking how. It doesn't matter. The only real notable things are this.
What kind of chemical you got in there?
And the triumphant but brief return of the first black female doctor played by Joe Martin. And it turns out the first gay black doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa isn't the first gay black doctor.
I was a fugitive back then. And frankly, darling, I was busy in a different story.
I guess now he's the first gay black male doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa. But ultimately, the only reason this episode exists is so they can talk about some more racism.
It's the first time I've had this black body. Some parts of the earth are now treated differently.
And considering our ghostwriter of the gods, who was also an evil barber, almost destroyed the universe, you think he would meet the same fate as the evil straight white male podcaster. Nope, he was forgiven and gifted a barbershop. Oh, and I forgot to mention something. The doctor cried. In the Interstellar Song Contest, in conjunction with Eurovision, Doctor Who decided to make something gayer than Eurovision. This episode is written by Juno Dawson, author of This Book is Gay, the banned book that's available on Amazon everywhere. The bullet points on this one, just in case you forgot, the Doctor is gay, and he meets a gay couple. Shockingly, one of them is a male nurse, and the other one's named Gary.
Look, man, everyone's gay once in a while.
I'm not gay.
Some pronouns are corrected.
She, her.
Oh, f off.
There's definitely a couple mentions of istophobia, and mass murder through terrorism is justified due to the evil corporations. Keeping in mind the corporation that financed this show, Disney, thanked a group affiliated with concentration camps in China. We also see flashes of the Doctor's granddaughter, Susan. I wonder how this will play out. Oh yeah, and Mrs. Flood is the Rani, and she bigenerates into an Indian Rani. Come to think of it, the new master, Sasha Dhawan, hails from India too. Why are all the evil Time Lords from India, BBC?
Okay, everyone, put the bloody money in the bag or there will be very, very big trouble.
And that's right, you guessed it, the Doctor cries. This brings us to the end of the series and mercifully the end of Doctor Who, the two-parter Wish World and the Reality War. It starts out by shattering any possibility of suspension of disbelief. I can buy murderous mannequins controlled by a hive mind, statues that eradicate their victims mercifully by dropping them into the past and living off their potential energy. I can buy all these horrible American accents.
Are you really a piano player, lady?
You're darn tootin' I am.
Come on, Perry. No way you going to North Africa.
And we're off! Fingers on buzzers! Are you feeling lucky? Are you ready to play the game?
Genocidal salt and pepper shakers. Hell, even the Absorbeloff. There's no way in hell I'm going to believe that the first black gay doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa is in love with a woman, they are married, and have a child. Something even the show itself says is a bit ridiculous.
Well, now you're going too far.
And yes, I know that's the entire point of this two-part finale, but Ncuti Gatwa couldn't pull off straight if his life depended on it, and he's supposed to be an actor. And who is buying that this is their kid? Wouldn't she look more like a younger version of this?
And I looked back up at her and I said, freedom!
So apparently the entire disastrous run of Russell T Davies' return was leading up to this. The Rani steals the seventh son of a seventh son and puts the little baby into the care of the evil white straight male podcaster who wishes for a traditional world where everyone is married, safe, and happy. And hey, this is Carl Benjamin. Anyway, it's a traditional world that Russell T Davies finds wrong.
It is, of course, a really strangely traditional, when I say traditional, I mean bordering on wrong.
Of course, this is in the context of the show, and it's supposed to be satire, but nobody doubts this is exactly how RTD feels.
You know, the very powerful and the very stupid have one thing in common. They don't alter their views to fit the facts. They alter the facts to fit the views.
And of course, in this wish world, there is the dispossessed and the marginalized, who are diverse and disabled people, and to save time, we'll call them diversabled.
I don't trust him for a second. You can get arrested for saying things like that.
And the point is, this wish world of traditionalism is such a mockery, it would create doubt. And you combine the doubt of the human population with the doubt of the Doctor, and it would not only destroy the world, it would crack open reality to an underworld that would release a classic Doctor Who villain, Omega, or Omega, depending on which Doctor Who fan you talk to.
What?
It's a long story. Anyway, RTD takes a shot at J.K. Rowling by having the evil straight white male podcaster read a book that looks an awful lot like a Harry Potter book. Just in case you forgot, even when he's supposed to be straight, they remind you that the Doctor's gay, and there's an unintentionally based line from the mom of the lesbian from Andor.
Good little girl, then good little wife, then good little mother.
Permission to shout bravo at an annoyingly loud volume, sir. Permission granted. Bravo!
Because none of the plot actually matters, let's just get this over with. The Doctor remembers he's gay and puts on his battle skirt. We find out that the Time Lords are actually sterile since the events of the Timeless Children, and so is this show. And I know it was long before that, but apparently that's the reason why they bigenerate now. And that's why the first black gay male Doctor, played by Ncuti Gatwa's baby, is impossible. But that's not the only reason. So the Rani's big plan was to bring back Omega, alive or dead, to use his DNA to reboot the Time Lords. Omega comes back and has some Indian food.
Curry sauce all over your anus. Could be.
Then Omega is defeated easily by the first black gay male doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa within 5 minutes. Donna Noble's daughter, Rose, makes a return, but you know who didn't come back despite it being set up in previous episodes? Susan Foreman, the doctor's granddaughter, nowhere to be found. It was pointless, like this show. But I do want to mention that the doctor left his boyfriend in a hell dimension. What are they trying to say there? Your guess is as good as mine. And it turns out the impossible daughter that the first black gay male doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa gave his life for isn't his daughter.
Obviously.
And yes, there was crying. But they saved the ultimate cringe for last, because Russell T Davies and his comrades at the BBC and Disney decided to dig up the corpse, pee on it, bugger it, and then set it on fire. Right around the time the first black gay male doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa decides to give up a regeneration for the daughter that's obviously not his. Guess who shows up? None other than the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker.
Let's be honest. I was the best.
Okay, let's say best male.
While I personally appreciate having a few more facial contortions for the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker thumbnail folder, anyone well involved with this show, and particularly in this decision, shouldn't be trusted to write a grocery list for the rest of their lives. Was the return of the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker a middle finger to the fans, or was she the only one when asked to say yes?
Yeah, I don't need to read anything. I don't need to know anything. I probably won't even know my lines, guys. But I was like, whatever it is, I'll be there.
My answer is yes, but I'm sure glad they reminded us that she's gay too.
I love you, Doctor.
I never said things like that.
That's why you got me.
I should say that to Yaz.
Gays! And that's right, every new doctor introduced after Peter Capaldi is gay. I've got some good news for you. The rumors are true. Ncuti Gatwa is out as the doctor. The bad news is Russell T Davies isn't done yet, because he decided to mushroom stamp his legacy by extending 2 giant middle fingers to the fandom by having the first black gay male doctor played by Ncuti Gatwa regenerate into Rose Tyler. And it looks like those rumors were true too, and when Perry, my editor, asked me if I believed them, I said, hell no, I can still be a sweet summer child. Courtesy of the Uber Geek, I think this would have been a much better alternative.
Hello.
But as far as the doctor regenerating into Rose is concerned, mission accomplished. Everyone was convinced the show was canceled, but now there is doubt and speculation. Yes, there is a unit spinoff coming that was already filmed before the end of this show that nobody will watch. Yes, now the door is open for the possibility of some specials with Billy Piper that no one will watch. If so, they are years off. I suspect it was RTD being cheeky, as the Brits say, and solidifying his deliberately destroyed legacy. Just to avoid the C word, canceled. Then there's the ratings with 2.17 million overnight viewers, which makes it the lowest rated finale of all time, the lowest rated exit of a doctor of all time, and in the bottom 15 for ratings of all time.
Sad, Red, isn't it? People spend all that time making nice things, and other people come along and break them.
I highly doubt we'll get any official word on this show being canceled. I think it'll just be paused until the end of time, so I can say, Whovians, welcome back to the new wilderness years. But I do think we'll get word on Disney pulling the plug. It's only a matter of time. Considering Tony Gilroy of Andor, bless him, just admitted that Disney Plus is broke. Ncuti Gatwa himself on the Graham Norton show last year said they would be filming another season, so they obviously pulled the plug. Or the BBC could pick it up again because there's no depths to their stupidity. Remember, it's the public's license fee money to burn.
Who knows? Who knows?
Ultimately, it doesn't really matter because now everybody hates it. Whether RTD was trying to be cheeky or not, the return of Rose backfired, and the internet reacted as suspected with some surprises. Like for Mr. Tardis, big fan of this channel, Wishworld and the Reality War should have just been podcast grifter manages to dream up his harmful utopia, and the doctor has to stop him to save his friends who are emitted from that world. That's all. No Ronnie, no Omega, no Pantheon. Massive unforced error from RTD. Oh, his entire return is a forced error, and we'll get to that. Then, of course, there's BBC Radio ripping the BBC show.
This is from Andy, who says, I'm a guy who considers himself of the left, but even I cringe watching an episode of Doctor Who. If Doctor Who is dying, it's because the BBC has killed it.
In the bits I have seen, I do kind of agree with him, because sometimes it does feel like you are being lectured to. I think in the few times we've had to watch it for must watch, because I never watch it by choice, I've come in and said exactly the same thing as Andy.
I'd like to congratulate Doctor Who on regenerating your first black gay male doctor on the day before Pride Month. Congratulations also go out to Russell T Davies, Disney, and the BBC. You guys lost more viewers and money than we could have possibly imagined. Your failure was deliberate, spectacular, and unintentionally hilarious. And why did Russell T Davies fail? Well, the same reason Chris Chibnall failed. He didn't return to tell stories. He returned to Doctor Who to use its platform for politics.
Being able to be this political, being this influential again, back at Doctor Who, it's the most incredible power, because you've got all of time and space, but it's a kid's show, and that's the power of it. If you make that show right, whatever you put in that show, that generation are going to grow up with as part of their belief system. You are going in there at a really key age and teaching kids what a decent human being is.
And let's not forget what Doctor Who actor Jinx Monsoon said. I think with every swing the conservative right takes at us, entertainment goes, you know what? We see you, and we raise you the queerest season of Doctor Who you've ever seen. Well, you showed them conservatives. Now, I'm going to state the obvious. Yes, there were conservative Doctor Who fans, but the vast majority of the people still criticizing it right now are not. And that's the biggest problem we see in all of fandom and genre right now. Be it the X-Men in the comics, or Star Wars, which is now going to be no more for communist lesbian space witches, or Star Trek with crying and singing Klingons, or shipping Galadriel and Sauron and Lord of the Rings, and in particular within Doctor Who, which used to be a show for everyone. These were all things that appealed to people who felt like outsiders, which is not the domain of the alphabet community or any other community. It's a human condition, and when Doctor Who played to that, it was at its best. And it ending like this, and believe me, it's over, whether they like it or not, doesn't make me happy, doesn't make me satisfied. I don't feel vindicated in any way, shape, or form. It's sad what the BBC has done to our favorite show. And I'll leave you with this brilliant post from Chat Noir that I believe sums up what the majority of the fandom is feeling right now. Russell T Davies, I say this to you because obviously you don't know. Doctor Who was more than a show. Many of us got bullied for loving it, you know. Many of us didn't fit in. No, we were not gay. We were not in wrong bodies, but we were shy, lonely, abused, on the outside of everything, sad, but we were included there, accepted. Every age, race, class, creed, outlook, every human being was loved by Doctor Who. That was the point. It wasn't a little sexuality and gender club with racism sprinkled over it. You took something precious as the true meaning of inclusive, something rare, truly rare, and you made it ugly and broken and false. You excluded those of us who came to it for shelter as kids. That's unforgivable. The world is better than sex and gender and race. This is a humanities world. Put the flags down. Look at the lonely old person, that awkward young person, and bring them a hero. You took them from all of us. But hey, look at the bright side. Doctor Who had a pretty good run. Over 60 years with a little break, and hell, over 50 of it was good. So whether you want to end it with the 7th Doctor walking off the show with Ace, or the 50th anniversary, or Peter Capaldi saying,
Doctor, I let you go.
Whatever your choice is, we all know it won't be here. To me, Doctor Who's been dead since the Timeless Children, because there's no coming back from that. But to all my fellow Whovians out there, the ones who don't like me, the ones who have subscribed and supported the channel, thank you very much. And to the vast majority of you out there who don't know who the hell I am truly sorry this happened. You deserve better. See you in the next one.